Hi everyone, welcome back to Football Kentron. This is episode number 4, where we will be looking into the 2022 Qatar FIFA World Cup qualifying draw. I am joined here by the usual suspects, Chadens and Armen. Say hi, guys.
Hello.
Hey, group winners.
Woo, group winners! And we will be talking only, and a little bit more about the World Cup qualifiers draw that took place yesterday. Armenia was drawn into Group J with a couple of big teams, and we'll get into that very shortly. And we will be talking about Armenia's head-to-head against each of these teams in our groups, the schedule that we will be looking into, the UEFA Nations League results for each team, and if they had qualified for the previous World Cup, we'll look at how they performed in that. And we will explain the UEFA playoff system, which we know a lot of people are really confused about. So we'll try to
including
simplify
myself.
that. I have it down. I promise. I think I understand it, and we'll try to, reciprocate that to all the listeners, and then we'll end it off. Yeah, we'll end it off with with some fun facts. So we have some good fun facts. Okay, so UEFA World Cup qualifiers for Qatar 2022.
Group J.
J.
Oh, boy. How many groups are there?
J is the last group. So we were
God.
drawn, and we were the second last team in the last group. We were in one of the 6-team groups. 4 of the groups had 5 teams. 4 of the groups had 6 teams. We ended up in one of the 6-team groups.
It's a tough group, isn't it?
It is. And why is it tough? It's tough because we have a small team named Germany in there.
Yeah.
Very small team.
Yeah. And then we have Romania. We have Iceland. We have our arch nemesis, North Macedonia. And
we know them.
Yeah, and then Liechtenstein, who we also know very well. I feel like we play them a lot too.
Yeah, we have. I mean, UEFA Nations League last year.
Yeah.
And the year before that.
Yeah, so we will be looking into how we perform into against each one of these teams. Quick disclaimer: doesn't look too pretty, but don't be discouraged. Don't be discouraged, everyone. I think we'll be just fine. Let's go ahead. Let's look into the teams. What do you guys think? Group J. Initial thoughts.
Well, the other 3, Macedonia, Iceland, and Romania, I bet you they're saying the same thing like us. We're aiming for the second spot. I'm 100% sure of this. They're saying the exact same thing right now.
Yeah,
I think everyone's aiming for second. Because we all know the favorites.
Yeah, you have Germany in there, who are, of course, 2014 World Cup champions. They won in Brazil. They beat Argentina in the final. That Mario Götze goal assisted by now retired Andre Schürrle, even though he's only like 29 years old. Two players whose careers literally went like plummeted after that World Cup.
Down crazy.
They're gone.
I think Götze plays in PSV Eindhoven.
Yes,
I think that's where he plays.
Correct.
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah, and he's the reason why I don't get players' names on my jerseys anymore because of him. Because I have a Bayern Munich jersey with Mario Götze on it. Anyway, that's a whole other topic. So Germany, of course, the strong favorites. We've played Germany 3 times before. 2 of those 3 games were competitive. 1 game was a friendly. The last time we had played them was in 2014. We lost to them 6-1. Henrik Mkhitaryan was the goal scorer that day. He scored a penalty.
Surprise.
Yeah, of course. But I think the one thing I remember specifically from that match against them was the match. I think it was Garland Mkhitaryan injured Marco Reus. And Marco Reus.
It was Artur Yedigarian. It was crazy.
Yeah.
Legend. Oh my God.
And I remember watching. I remember exactly where I was. I was in my university's library. I was sitting watching the game on ESPN3 on my laptop, and I remember as soon as the tackle went in, I think it was like they showed Mkhitaryan, and his face was like,
oh no.
Shit. That was it. They were Dortmund teammates at
Oh,
the time.
because
Yeah,
they
they
were
were.
teammates. 2014.
Yep.
It was
In fact,
yeah.
that was the reason. I mean, Mkhitaryan was pretty much the reason why that friendly took place in the first place. To begin with, that was it.
Yeah. And then it ended up like being a whole. I mean, Germany ended up winning the World Cup anyway, but Marco Reus didn't play a part in it.
But
Ouch.
one thing I remember about that game, other than the result and Royce's injury, it was Georg Kazarian had a pretty much a career-changing game, because the only goal we scored, that penalty that Mkhitaryan scored, I believe, it was after a foul on Kazarian in a very beautiful play by him individually.
Did he go to? Was that when he was he at Olympiacos already?
No, it was right before that. It was I think he was playing in Ukraine back then, and that was what made him go to Olympiacos.
So there you go. You win a penalty against. You get tackled by a German defender in the box, and you win a move to the Greek league.
I mean, to the Greek giants, no less. I mean, it sounds like a joke, but those games against the world class teams, they really are like the best form of exposure there is.
I agree, and I think the first thing that comes to my mind immediately, Vahan Bichakchan he needs to play in that game. Whether he starts or he comes off the bench, I don't care. That kid needs minutes against Germany, because I guarantee you he'll ring Borussia Dortmund's calling. Well, I don't know if they'll. I don't know if they'll bring him.
Vahan.
Exactly.
I mean, the good thing is gonna be 2 games. I mean, we don't get just one opportunity against Germany.
Yeah, home and away. So that's going to be a good one. We'll talk about that a little bit more when we get into the schedule and the teams individually. But next up we have Romania. That's an interesting one. Romania, we've played them on 5 occasions. They were in our last World Cup qualifying group, weren't they? I believe they were.
I think so.
Yeah, we didn't play very well against them in either of the 2 games, or the 2 official games. But another thing about Romania, much like Germany and say, for instance, Liechtenstein, Romania has worsened very much since the last time we met.
If I'm not mistaken, most of the Romanian international players play in the domestic league, correct? They mostly play. Yeah, which is interesting. It's interesting to have a national team that's as strong as they are, have so many players playing domestic. I personally think that, they're not abroad, which is kind of surprising.
And actually, well, the 2 best sides in the Romanian league that also has many players for their national team are Steaua Bucharest and Cluj. Yeah. The last team, Cluj, they played Chirac, for the last UEFA Europa League qualifiers.
Yeah,
Chirac may have lost 3-0, which I think it was the final result. But that game was definitely not what they deserved. Chirac was playing very, very well until it was the 60th minute or something, like an hour after the kickoff. They were playing great, and they got a penalty, undeserved penalty.
Yes. You're thinking of that game. Yeah, they got an undeserved penalty, and then Chirac just capitulated after that. They kind of just collapsed. It didn't.
I feel like we can take them.
I think we can. I know Giorgio Hagi's son.
He's doing good in Rangers currently. He's doing fantastic.
I don't know how often he actually gets played. That's something
he doesn't play that much, I think. Last season, he was playing a lot in Rangers. Like Steven Gerrard was playing him a lot, but he's still young. Like, you cannot really depend on him. It's a tough opponent to have, and I think it's a very big disadvantage for them to have a lot of domestic players, if you think about it, because most of the other teams, they have players abroad a lot. Like Armenia's getting players abroad a lot now. Liechtenstein, I'm not aware, but the other teams are getting a lot, especially Iceland.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. It's there's different observations I can explain later.
Yeah. Well, when we get more in depth and look into Romania, we could talk about that a little bit.
It has to do with the schedule. Yeah,
Yeah.
it has to do with the schedule.
So next up is Iceland. We have played Iceland 3 times. We have 0 wins against them, 1 draw, and 2 losses. But again, this is where I mean, like, don't be alarmed by any of these records that we have against these teams, because the last time we played Iceland was in 2008.
Yeah, so basically pre any kind of players right now. So all the players right now were kids. So.
Yeah,
and it actually was before Iceland's big come up.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah. So if you look at the current Iceland squad and the current on the Iceland squad that played us back in 2008, totally changed.
Their whole system is way better.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Our system has improved. I mean, we totally see it. But theirs has, wow. I mean, World Cup, everything, UEFA Cup, everything.
Yeah, and
ours is just at the start, though.
That's true. Because we, and a lot of people don't know this, but the Football Federation of Armenia hired the same consultants that revamped Iceland's entire football system.
Wonderful.
No.
Yeah, so this happened a few years ago. The plan is already being implemented. Hence, we have Ines Melendez as our sporting director, who's leaving his post at the end of the year. We have Joaquin Caparros.
We're gonna miss him. We're gonna miss him so much.
But it's okay because he was there to set the foundations that were set up by that plan.
Yeah.
And he did his job. He did exactly what we needed him to do these past couple of years. Next team, Macedonia, I think pretty self-explanatory. We have a very even record against Macedonia. We have 4 wins, 2 draws, 4 losses. We're very much back and forth with these guys, but I think a key to success in this group is going to be adding 2 W's to that win column.
And it's our recent matches. The other ones, Iceland, Romania, and Germany, they're pre-2017. So we know that it's recent games that we actually did well with them.
Exactly.
So,
and that's why I think they're going to be crucial. Because if we get 6, we need 6 points from Macedonia, and that we know they know us the best out of any team in this group, and we know them the best, which I think is what's going to make it a little bit more difficult.
Yeah, it's not going to be an easy thing to do, though.
Yeah, I agree.
It won't. But
it's doable.
Yeah.
It's doable. I agree it is doable. And speaking of doable, and speaking of a place that we will most likely, if there's anywhere in this group, mess up.
Cheap shot, Adam.
It's true. Liechtenstein. Our record against them: 2 wins, 2 draws, 0 losses. We've always taken points whenever we have played Liechtenstein. They are of course, pot 6 team in this group. We expect to get 6 of 6 points. Historically, we would look at our matches against Liechtenstein and be like, okay, high probability of getting all 3 points. But then you think, but this is also the place
draws.
Yeah, exactly. 2 draws. This is the place that we drop points also.
Yeah, but I would say that not this time. I mean, they have a weaker side than they did last time we met when they drew against us, and we have an even stronger team. So we don't have excuses.
No more firefighters. They're just grocery shop clerks now.
Yeah, we don't have excuses no more.
That was mean. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to anyone from Liechtenstein. That was a mean one.
We love you, Liechtenstein.
We're not any better, honestly. Okay, well, yeah, because someone from Germany would look at Armenia and think half this team plays in Kazakhstan, so I'm assuming they're like mechanics or something. That's probably what they think when they look at our squad. Oh,
rocket scientists.
rocket scientists, professional chess players, and
And Borat.
and Borat. Okay, next up, let's talk schedule. Oh, I know we all have very strong thoughts on the schedule, so I think maybe we should take turns and talk it through month by month, because the World Cup qualifiers are all going to be played in one calendar year from now on, similar to how the Nations League was. All of the matches will be in 2021. The first set of matches are in March, second set in September, then we have a couple in October and a couple in November to round it off. So let's start with March. March fixtures. We start off away to Liechtenstein.
What's up with the gap between March and September? Is there some sort of competition or something you might want to talk about?
There is, yeah. There is.
The Euros.
Okay.
Yeah, the Euros. It would be the Euros, which we famously did not qualify for. So we won't be joining in the festivities.
So yeah.
It was postponed.
There should be. We could get like a friendly before the Euros something.
I think it will be difficult. I see it difficult.
Yeah, I think so too, because of the fixture congestion. Already, a lot of players are complaining that they have so many games to play. So we have March, right? That's near the end of the club season. Club season is going to end in May, and then June is when the Euro starts. So you have June the entire month. July, players normally get it off.
Gone.
Yeah. And then they come back from vacation early August, where they're already in preseason. September 2nd, which is our match
season,
day, is already season and international break. So there's a lot of fixture congestion going on.
Very tough. Yeah, it'll be very tough.
Yeah, so the closest thing to a friendly would be our season debut against Liechtenstein.
Yeah. So Liechtenstein.
Yeah.
We're starting off with an away game. I think that tends to be the case for us. I think we hardly ever start any competitions at home. But at least out of every team, we're playing the one team that we're like, okay, great. Let's go win 3 points and start getting momentum, right?
Exactly. Get some players ready, gain as you said, momentum. I like the fixture overall.
Yeah, I do too, and I think the deeper we go into this schedule, the more I think our thoughts start coming out. Next up, on March 28th, we are at home to Iceland. So a 3-day turnaround, travel back from Liechtenstein to Yerevan, and then we host Iceland.
But there's an issue with this. So what I personally was hoping is that we have the fans back. If you look at the date, March 28th, it looks really tough to have the fans back, even though they actually recently just had in England. So I don't know how they're going to do it in Armenia, especially with the recent So with the situation and COVID as well together, March 28th is not that far. So if it still remains the same,
it all depends on how they handle COVID during the winter break.
Yeah, I mean, hopefully it snows enough in Armenia that people don't leave their homes. that's all. The vaccine is coming out.
We need them in the stadium, though. We need them in the stadium. This is what I'm hoping.
I completely agree. But if you look at the other side of that coin, Chadens, we played really well without anyone in the stadium in the Nations League.
I agree. Completely
agree. Would it be extra pressure? Maybe.
I don't think it would be extra pressure, because our Armenians, we never boo our team. We boo the ref, if anything. So
but you still want to deliver for your people.
Of course. I think after the tough year Armenia has had,
we're strong. We're stronger than ever.
We're stronger than ever, and I think I don't know if we're as united of a people as we once were, but
we will be.
I wouldn't hold my breath for having fans back in March. I think obviously health-wise speaking,
it will be difficult.
too difficult. I think the first time we might see people at home is September 8th against Liechtenstein. I don't foresee it, but who knows if the COVID vaccine is widespread enough in Armenia, and if they get the COVID situation under control, that would be wonderful. But like you said, Shadens, I think having fans cheering on against the two key teams, Iceland and Romania, is going to help.
It's a
But
12 man.
Even without fans, I think that in late March, against Liechtenstein away and Iceland and Romania at home, without fans and everything, I think we're totally prepared to get at least 6 points out of that window.
I agree there, though. Yeah, I agree. I think it would be good flow if we go to Liechtenstein and just have that comfortable, good match and hopefully get the win. We'll come back good with Iceland and Romania, and also we have the advantage now. In Iceland, we're not going to be playing it's in March. March is going to be still freezing cold in Iceland. So imagine in Armenia, it's going to be a little better at least. At least we have that advantage at least.
Yeah, and same with Romania. Weather-wise, it's kind of similar there as it is in Armenia. But that's two of our home games right there. So in March, we have one away game, two home games. We play Romania 3 days after we play Iceland, again at home. And you're looking at these three matches. There's 9 points up for grabs in March. How many of these points do you guys think Armenia needs to get in order to look good going into the rest of the qualifiers?
You mean the whole thing, or do you mean all these three games?
In just these three specific matches.
All nine.
I would start with 2 games with two wins, and if it's 3, even better.
Yeah, I think, maybe I'll reiterate this later, but against Iceland and Romania, we need to take 4 out of the 6 possible points from a minimum one of them.
Yeah, easily. Like, we really need that 4. Like, we really need that. Yeah.
So that's why I say if we can get ideal of course is 9 points. If we can get 7 points, great. I think 7 would also be a good.
Practically speaking, you have to be practically speaking. Yeah. I think and practically speaking, you need the home games as always wins. Whatever happens, you always need it at least wins.
Yeah. Like I'd rather draw away.
Yeah.
Well, it's also important because we now fly from March all the way to September.
This is going to be tough.
Away to Macedonia. So it's the first time we're playing Macedonia in this group. And then we go 3 days later to Germany away. So we have consecutive away games after having consecutive home games. September is also going to be the start of the club football season. Players who are international players would have played in the Euros. We expect a team like Germany to go really far in the competition, right? So we expect a lot of these players to be tired.
Hope so, yeah. Hope so.
Macedonia, again, very key. They qualified for the Euros.
Oh, yeah, they have.
Yeah.
And Iceland has as well.
Yeah. So
that's a bonus.
It's a bonus. So we're looking at an aging Macedonia team. Goran Pandev, I believe, is very likely to retire after the Euros. I don't think he's planning on continuing. I think he's going to retire after the Euros.
I'm so surprised he plays football.
Me too, man. Me too. But you know what? I think that's what people hoped Mkhitaryan would be for us until obviously now we have better players.
I think we're the only group that are going to all the listeners right now, like we want you to understand that we have so many other players who you have not seen and met yet, and we hope that you meet them through these podcasts, because these players are not reliant on Mkhitaryan, and look how well we did in Nations League.
Exactly. Yeah.
Armenian talent, baby.
We got 9 points without him. You can always point to that. Always point to that. So we go away to Macedonia. We know Macedonia very well. We know trip to Skopje is never really pleasant for us. It's a place that we don't really get points. That's going to need to change. that September 2nd fixture, circle it on your calendar because Armenia need to get all 3 points there if we want to see us be competitive for second place.
I don't want to complain too much, but last time in Skopje, we deserved to get the win. I mean,
Yeah, about that.
at least
yeah.
not the defeat. That penalty, I mean, both penalties against us were uncalled for, especially the first one. Especially the first one earlier in the game. Oh yeah, I'll never get tired of that.
Yeah,
I always see it.
And again, not a full strength squad for us, but a full strength squad for them. In that
Yeah.
match, we lost 2-1. I believe Tigran Barseyan penalty, 90-something minute. Our very own Maradona, Norberto Briasco-Balakian,
Good game.
drew the penalty. I hope he gets called up for this World Cup qualifiers fixtures. I'm fairly confident he will. I feel like he's probably going to make a move to Europe very soon, and he will be more involved. He's only 24 again, so like he's still in a great age too. We have an aging Karapetyan, who's also obviously 31. He's our like other out and out center forward besides Balakian. But Balakian again,
though.
he is in form. He's very in
He's
form.
at his peak. He's gonna make the most out of this qualifier, especially since he grew up in Germany. Karapetyan, he grew up in Germany. And he wants to deliver. He wants to score against them.
Well, speaking of people who deliver in Germany, we have our very own postman in Sargis Adamyan, who only delivers.
I love him. I love you, Sako.
He obviously I think he's a beloved figure in Hoffenheim, especially considering the guy single-handedly beat Bayern and Dortmund.
Yeah.
But like, it's mind-blowing.
Giant Slayer. He's the Giant Slayer.
He is the Giant Slayer. He's our Giant Slayer. So we're hoping our Hoffenheim, our Bundesliga forward puts in a really good shift. Of course, we don't expect to beat Germany. I think we'd be stupid if we came in and said, "Oh yeah, 3-0, easy, professional win." That's probably not going to happen. But though that 3-day stretch is going to be very tough. Away to Macedonia, away to Germany, and then we round it September off by coming back home and hosting Liechtenstein. So after what we see an inevitable loss to Germany, we need to come back and get 3 points against Liechtenstein.
I want to add something. Maybe you guys can clarify for me. With Macedonia, the penalties, we didn't have VAR. Is that correct?
No, the Nations League did not have VAR, but the Nations League playoffs have VAR. Doesn't make any sense. Okay.
Because with this World Cup qualifiers, I don't know if they're going to have it. I'm hoping they will. I'm hoping they have a better VAR than the usual. So until then, I'm hoping there's going to be a good change.
Let's see. I'm actually doing a little bit of research into VAR. It looks like it wasn't used in Euro 2020 qualifiers, which we know.
Okay, this is interesting now.
Okay, here we go. Yes. So in Europe, VAR will be used in the 2022 FIFA World Cup qualifiers.
Oh, this is interesting now.
Yes,
this
that's
is
a game
really
changer.
Interesting.
Because penalties like that aren't going to happen, which Armenia gets a lot of very, very bad calls for penalties. We've complained about this a lot.
Suspicious calls.
Okay, against Georgia. Do you remember that match, the second match against Georgia?
Oh, ridiculous.
The guy who tripped over?
Yeah, he fell. He fouled our player and got a penalty.
He fouled our man. Yeah.
Mind-blowing. Stuff like that won't happen, hopefully. Obviously, the VAR experiment is going well in some places and noticeably not going well in other places, like in England, where they complain about it all the time because the referees, I don't know, don't understand the game.
Yeah, it depends on how it's used.
Yeah, but that's a great point, Jonathan. Great point. VAR, game changer in these qualifiers, and hopefully it works in our favor because historically referee calls haven't been going in our favor.
True.
So
very true.
Next up, we have the October fixtures. On October 8th, we are away.
A month later.
exactly a month later. And I think when I initially looked at the draw, I looked at October and I said, this is it. In October,
Yeah.
I will know if we qualified for or not. We know if we're going
Make
to
it
get
or break it.
place. We are away to Iceland, and then 3 days later, away to Romania.
Why do you think that though?
I think that because it is, if you look at the way the fixtures are panned out, it's the only set of qualifiers we have where we don't have a home game. They're both matches are away, so we don't have a home game to fall on in that particular match days.
Oh, that's what you mean. Okay. Yeah.
And it's our second time playing against Iceland and Romania each.
Or direct rivals.
And we're playing away this time. So like you said,
turnaround.
Those home matches where we want to get all 3 points, if we can draw or win, if we can draw both of the games, I think we would be in a great position.
Iceland will be tough away.
If we can draw one, win one, amazing. If we can win both, unreal. But I think that's where it comes down. I think
October.
3 points is the minimum.
That's when you have to. Sorry, I'm cutting you, but October is when you go all out.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no place for second thoughts, no place for warm stuff like being frozen before a game. No, October is when you go out to the field and leave everything on the pitch.
Mm-hmm. It is.
I mean, it's gonna be make it or break it.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be it's already going to be during it's not going to be that cold. First of all, the weather. Second, like you guys mentioned before, the players are already going to be warmed up because of the season, and it's going to be really anticipating 3 months before that, which is June, July, August, and then September is where we go all in, and then again October we go all in with away games. So yeah, I think the players are going to be warmed up, ready to go at that point. It's going to be tough though.
Oh yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree.
And the last 2 games, oh, this is where I wanted to focus on. I think here, this is, I think personally that it's going to go until the end, our group, because of Macedonia and Germany home games, last home games. It's the final hope we're going to have there. And the 12th man is the biggest game here. It's the biggest factor.
Yeah. Yeah, because we're home against Macedonia, a place that they hate coming to Yerevan, and I'm sure.
Yeah, they do.
And I'm actually looking at our buddy Macedonian Footy on Twitter. He just literally just tweeted out his thoughts a couple minutes ago on the fixture, and he's happy for some reason that Armenia that they have us late away, which I wouldn't. I mean, he's hoping maybe we get tired by then. I think it's bad for them. I agree. I think that's very good for us. And like you guys said, that's like these 3 matches: Iceland away, Romania away, Macedonia at home, are huge, because even if we underperform in some parts of the other earlier in the qualifiers,
exactly.
If you get these 3 wins, like, oh my God, you're suddenly in it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Just like the last one. We beat Bosnia 4-2 at home, and then suddenly we were back in the mix, Just from that one game. So a lot of things can change. So even if we do underperform in certain parts, like we're expecting to probably, we can still make up for it.
If any Yerevanci or people who reside in Armenia, please go to those games. If I cannot make it, please you guys go, please.
As many games as you can.
Yeah. I think in general, please.
Yeah, if you're in Armenia and you're listening, you probably go to games already. I'm assuming if you're listening to this, you're crazy enough like us that you're like, you want to go to everything. Please go to the games. I think we need.
Yeah.
We don't need. Obviously, we know that the last match day against Germany, the stadium's going to be packed, probably. So we need that for every game. We need that for Iceland. We need that for Romania. We don't need that for Germany. You know, we need the people to come out to those games because those are the big games for us.
Packed and loud. Packed and loud.
Yeah, like when I was in the, I went in 2019, 2018. I don't remember. I don't even remember when the last time I went was. I went to Armenia versus Italy, the one where Karapetyan scored the goal and then he got sent off.
Yeah, 3-1.
Wrongfully, I might add, again.
Yeah, definitely.
When I went to that match, after Karapetyan scored that goal, I have never heard a stadium that loud in my life.
Wow.
And it was only 15,000 people. It was a sold out game. The stadium, the Vazgen Sargsyan Stadium, holds about 15,000 people or so, give or take 1,000. And I've never ever heard a stadium go that loud ever. And I've been to some. I was at Ibrahimovic's debut for the Galaxy where he scored that crazy goal.
Really?
I was at that game, and I guarantee you, Vazgen Sargsyan Stadium was louder when Karapetyan scored that goal. Crazy. So that's what we need. That's the energy that needs to come every single match day at home, for sure.
Hopefully in March we have fans back. That's why I'm hoping for that a lot.
Yeah, maybe and maybe people will miss football and they'll want to go watch. So that's what we're hoping for, at least. So that concludes our schedule. Again, in March we have 3 matches. In September we have 2 matches. Sorry, 3 matches in September, 2 matches in October, 2 matches in November. We end off our World Cup qualifiers with a home match with Germany. By then they'll probably be qualified. They'll probably field a weaker team. We'll probably think, oh, maybe we can get a point, and then we'll lose like 5-1 or something. But who knows?
I don't think so. But
But I mean, the Germany games are probably. We were talking about Vahan and Korean and the younger ones, but I would like to focus as well on Edgar Babayan. I mean, he is 25 years old as well, which is right before his prime. He has been performing very well lately and calling for a major move to a way better team than he is right now. No disrespect to Hobro, and but yeah, he was born in Germany. I mean, he understands and speaks German, much like Kara, but is younger. He has everything to shine on that game, and maybe, who knows, much like Gevor Kazarian did in the last time we met Germany, maybe this is it for Babayan.
Maybe. I hope so. He needs to get out of the 2nd division in Denmark. Like now, sooner rather than later. But I have some exclusive news. Again, Macedonian Footy, our Macedonian football expert. Follow him on Twitter if you don't. He's a very good follow. He has some news on Goran Pandev. Apparently, Pandev had spoke to local media, and he said that their home fixture against Germany on match day 8, which is October 11th, the same day we take on Romania.
Mm-hmm.
He said that that's the game that Pandev said will likely be his last game for Macedonia.
Oh.
So he said
he's going to be there at the qualifiers. Most of it.
He said if 2nd place is out of reach by then, it'll probably be his last game. So
makes sense.
No, and then we play them the following month. The next match day 9 is when we host Macedonia. So it could be a Pandev-less Macedonia. Should be interesting.
But they might have a very energetic young player. So
Ilmas, that kid's great.
I hate him.
Elif Ilmas. He plays for Napoli, where I think Vahan should go, but that's another conversation.
I hate that tag.
Let us go and look into just a little bit more in depth into the recent performances of the teams that are in our World Cup qualifiers group. We'll start by taking a look at their Nations League results from the Nations League campaign that just finished. We'll start with Germany. A little bit more self-explanatory. They underperformed, but they still somehow got 2nd place in their group behind Spain, who ended up winning the group. Germany, I think, is a team that if you were to listen to any German football fan right now or the German sports media, they'll tell you it's a team on the decline. But as we know, we're not stupid.
They're still Germany.
They're still Germany. Exactly. So what do you guys think about this Germany? What do you guys think about this German squad?
Armen, go.
I don't know what about their squad. I mean, they can literally call over half of Bundesliga and still be world class. But if you look at the results, I mean, just by looking at the results, right? They barely beat Ukraine, and that's how they got the 6 of their 9 points in the last qualifiers. I mean, I believe that everyone saw that signature loss 6-0 against Spain.
Yeah.
If that's
I
not
actually watched that match.
if that's not a sign that they're declining, I don't know what is, but they're still class. I mean, we have to be very careful. Maybe we can get our first. I don't know if we have drawn against them before. No, 3 losses. Maybe we can get our first point against them. Maybe not. Who knows? I mean, Germany is still Germany, and against them, personally, I will always focus on individual performances by our young talents, and maybe we can get as many performances, good performances that show Armenian talent and portray it before the world.
Yeah, Germany. If you're looking at the fixtures in the last Nations League, you could see that Germany drew twice against Switzerland.
Exactly.
So they have a 3-3 draw and they have a 1-1 draw. And Switzerland is a famous, very good counterattacking team. They obviously have players that play in the top divisions. A lot of them play in Germany, but they also have players that play in England, that play in Netherlands, in different nations as well. But again, their style of play and their focus being counterattack. So it looks like Germany struggles against counterattacking teams. And in that match against Spain that you were talking about, where they got demolished, they almost all of Spain's goals were on counterattacks. And what is Armenia good at?
Beautiful counterattacks. Yeah, that beautiful.
So it's possible.
I want like, I don't know if you guys remember, maybe the listeners don't remember, to check the game with Netherlands and Germany. I think it was 3-2, where Netherlands turned it around last minute. Until the last minute, they turned it around. I think we're not Netherlands caliber, but with the we're not Netherlands quality, simple. But if we, like you guys said, if we pull off a tactical advantage with a counterattacks or something like that, we can pull them off. The win, we can pull off the win.
I don't want to jinx anything. I don't want to say anything, but I told you this. I told this to you guys in the group message that we have all together. But of course, a main fixture of this German national team side is Real Madrid midfielder Toni Kroos, right? Him and Leon Goretzka, Ilkay Gundogan. They're the people that make up the midfield engine for Germany. Now, our manager, Joaquin Caparros, who formerly managed Sevilla,
oh boy,
I opened the TV a few days ago, and it was on beIN Sport Extra, and it was a throwback match from 2016, I want to say. It was Sevilla against Real Madrid, and our manager, Joaquin Caparros, was taking care of Sevilla at that time, and at halftime, Sevilla went in with a 2-0 advantage. I think both goals were scored by Carlos Bacca, the Colombian striker.
The Colombian.
And they were both on counterattacks. And I watched the good 25 minutes, the last 25 minutes of the first half. And I'm watching it, I'm looking, and I'm saying, this is exactly how Caparros had set Armenia up against Georgia and Macedonia.
Exactly. Big stage.
Exactly how they set him up. And they were dominating. Toni Kroos you didn't even know he was playing. He had nullified Toni Kroos that good. So I think finally having a really, really good manager, you never know. Maybe we could nick a point against Germany. I would like that.
Home at least.
Yeah, home at least. Why not? And I doubt they'll bring a full strength squad, especially if it's the last match day. They
Yeah.
probably won't. But we won't hold our breath because last time we thought that we got battered by Italy, so we don't want to do that. So in the last World Cup, 2018 in Russia, Germany famously crashed out of the group stage.
It's the winner's curse. It's the winner's curse.
Yeah, it is the winner's curse. They only got 3 points, and that was from a single win that they had. Sweden ended up topping the group. Mexico got second place. South Korea got third place. The only win in the group they got was against Sweden, and I'll never forget that for a personal reason. I was in Germany during that game in Berlin.
Wow.
Very cool experience. I was watching it at the fan mile, and I remember it was pouring rain, and everyone, it was literally, they have like these humongous screens that are going down the street. Everyone was standing there. The free kick is called, and when Toni Kroos hits that thing, everyone knew it was going in, and the place exploded. It was very, very cool to see. But of course, I think when they lose I think South Korea ended up topping Mexico or something, and for that reason, Germany got knocked out and whatever. But they underperformed in the last campaign. We'll see how they perform in the Euros.
And then we have Romania.
What about
Oh,
those
boy.
guys? I mean, we were talking about how Germany is playing a little worse than it was before. And I honestly think this is the same case with Romania.
I agree completely. I completely agree.
Well, I'm looking at their profile right now on Transfer Market, and it looks like they have a new manager, Mirel Radoy. He is 39 years old, young manager. His current record, he has 8 matches under his belt with the Romanian national side since he took over. He has 3 wins, 2 draws, and 3 losses. He has scored 14, conceded 14. So overall goal difference of 0. And he's collected 11 points total with an average of 1.38 points per match. So his signature wins look like a 3-0 win against Norway, a 5-3 win against Belarus, but then he lost 3 consecutive matches.
One thing about that 3 win against Norway, though, that win was actually given to Romania since Norway got COVID. They didn't play that game. It was a 3-0 default win for Romania. And the only solid win they got was because they didn't play.
Yeah, and it looks like that 5-3 win against Belarus was a friendly. And
yeah, it was.
Yeah, and so the only win they got was against Austria on September 7th, and that was a 3-2 win.
Exactly.
I see weaknesses and strengths at the same time with this team. Like, I see both. Like I mentioned before that I was gonna speak about it. I think, they have this domestic thing. It's kind of what England is going through a little bit. That they have a lot of domestic players. Of course, England is stronger at rankings and everything else, but having a lot of domestic players does not give you a lot of mix into the team. But it's also good because they can focus on one system.
Yeah, they know each other too well.
Exactly. So
it's what happens to Russia as well.
It's scary. Yeah, actually, yeah. It's a good example with Russia.
But if you think about it, as I was talking about, Chirac played Cluj, and half of Chirac, the squad of Chirac back then, half a year ago, less than half plays for the Armenian national team. A couple, let's say 2 or 3. All of the others are the Armenian national team players are even better than Chirac players, and even then, Chirac was actually looked very good against Cluj, which is like a Romanian heavyweight.
I think you meant Steaua. It's Steaua Bucharest. They played.
Was
They
it
lost
Steaua?
3. It was Stal. Yeah.
Okay.
But they're still
Yeah.
strong though. Steaua. It has a name. They have a name.
Yeah, they are. They are, of course. But if Shirak can play solid against them and only lost because the game opener was an undeserved penalty,
Mhm.
I'm fully I'm fully hopeful with our guys, with our national team.
Well, so I'm looking into the specifics of that match, and the only Armenian national team player that played in that game was Solomon Udo, and he came off the bench, and he doesn't play
Yeah,
for
but,
Shirak anymore.
but then there's Garen Muradian, then there was this
Mhm.
guy David Manoyan. Who else was there? The defenders, I
Edgar
think.
Malakian.
Edo Marakian. We had this right back. It was not Serap Grigorian, the other one, Tarpinian. Something Tarpinian, who is pretty good too, but not called for the national team so far. I mean, there were 4 or 5 Armenian nationals in that lineup who are who are not even national team starters.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get the point, we can totally beat Romania.
Yeah. So we're gonna look at Iceland now.
I think they're our prey. They're the prey.
Expand on that a little bit more. What do you mean?
It's what we said before. We actually had this conversation right before the call. Aram, you said that their strength became their weakness. They did great at the Euro 2016 when they beat England and qualified for the quarterfinals. And now they couldn't even get a point in their Nations League. So it's kind of a big downfall if you see it.
Yeah.
Even if you consider that, that they may have underperformed a little bit. Look at the competition they got. I mean, they were Division 8, Belgium, Denmark,
yeah, we said
England.
about that as well.
Yeah, it was tough. I mean, and it also another not minor detail, which we're going to be talking about next year in the upcoming podcasts. But Iceland lost 3 out of those 6 competitive games in stoppage time. I mean, they actually didn't deserve to lose those 3 games, and I believe that's where our lads can grab maybe a win or something like in stoppage time.
Maybe.
Oh, I think a hopeful win at home would be good. But I would like to add something. Don't consider them so low because
no, not at all.
Yes, they have. Well, they do have Belgium. Yeah, they do have Denmark. They do have England. But to be aware of is that after the Euros, their players transferred to really well-performing teams like England.
Exactly.
From what I know,
they are still Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
They are still Iceland.
So they are good, but yeah, against them they had very good teams. But then again, they are strong themselves. They are Iceland, so we never know.
I'm looking at their most recent squad that they had. Funnily enough, as you said, Chadens, their last Nations League match was a 4-0 loss to England. So I'm looking at the squad that they had for those matches, and they play in honestly very similar leagues to Armenian players. They have a couple Premier League players. They have one player that plays in the Bundesliga. They have a player that plays in Astana, so he plays with Tigran Basakian. They have players that play in Denmark, Russia. They have a few players that play in Russia. They have a player that plays in Sweden for AIK. We have our own that plays in Sweden. So generally speaking, they're playing in similar levels to our players. They're
slightly better though. Slightly better,
only
though.
slightly.
Slightly.
Only slightly.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't go
And-
on a limb and saying they're individually speaking, they're much better. I don't think so. But as a team, collectively, they're much better.
Yeah, they're more solid. I mean, we can take them, but they're still stronger overall. I mean, it will all depend on Caparrós. And of course, we have a lot to talk about this, guys, because actually we have, as you said, there's a case in Astana playing with Tico. There's another one in CSK in Moscow playing with Nair Tiknisian. There's two of those actually, CSKA. There were two playing in Rostov with Horen Bayramian. I mean, there's a lot to talk about, a lot of well-known players.
Mm-hmm.
So it will all depend on how things progress throughout 2021.
And the thing is, it's not that far away, so you can't foresee these players making big transfers and like suddenly, playing at a higher level day in, day out. Most likely, when the qualifiers start, these players are still going to be playing in their same clubs. So, bottom line, we are a lot more similar to Iceland than we think. And one thing that Iceland has over us, obviously, is that they've qualified for international tournaments. Their most recent was in the last World Cup. They were in Group D with Croatia, Argentina, and Nigeria, and they ended up last place in that group as well, similar to their Nations League, where they only collected 1 point, and that was a draw against Argentina.
They played good in that World Cup.
Yeah. But one theme I'm noticing between the World Cup and their Nations League is they don't score many goals.
Yeah, I saw that as well. It's very common for them.
So if you're a team that brings it to them, that you're putting up the tempo, you're fighting, you're attacking, it's very unlikely that they'll score on you. So maybe that's something to keep in mind as we move later on.
They don't digest the attack. They're that kind of team. They don't digest it. No.
Yeah, and also then there's the thing that half of their games they lost on stoppage time. That's not a detail.
Yeah, we like to score late goals, right?
That's something very important to consider.
Yeah, it is. So I think that's going to be some of the most interesting games for us. Those two matches against Iceland for sure. But speaking of things we love to see, our next opponent, Macedonia, in the UEFA Nations League, they got second place in their group C2, behind the one and only Hayastan. We won the group, promoted, group winner.
Love this group.
Yeah, I can't. I'll never get tired of looking at this table. I think if I ever, anytime I ever get sad, I'll just look at this table and I'll get happy. So, Macedonia, they haven't qualified for a FIFA World Cup. However, they are famously the beneficiary of the new UEFA Nations League qualification system for the Euros. They won the playoffs. They beat Georgia in the final 1-0 thanks to Goran Pandev. So they will be playing in their first ever international tournament this upcoming summer. And
so there's a development. There's a
development. Macedonia is definitely under better coaching. I think Goran Pandev is, of course, like an idol that they'll miss once he retires. But we know this team, and I think we spent so much time talking about these guys that we don't even want to talk about them. But bottom line with Macedonia, we know we can beat them.
Definitely.
Yeah, we can. We're actually we're on the very same level as they are. Even if they have maybe slightly better players, but collectively speaking, as you said earlier, we're better. I mean, if we get Elmas, if we get a hold of Elmas on the pitch, we can beat them. I mean, their whole game runs through him, and he's their star, even with Pandev on the pitch.
And it's funny you mentioned that because I remember seeing a tweet that I actually sent in our group chat. This guy pointed out, he said, hey, yeah, we are playing Armenia again. They are like our kryptonite. He goes, but they only beat us 1-0 with their B team. That's what this guy said. And someone tweeted at him and said, yeah, but their A team beat our A team 4-0.
Yeah,
So,
it
so
was
I
a
don't.
beautiful game.
Yeah, it was a beautiful game. So to me, a marker as to whether we have actually grown or not is if we can get 6 out of 6 points against North Macedonia in these qualifiers. To me, that's a personal marker. That if I see us take 2 wins home and away against North Macedonia, I know, okay, we are actually growing as a team. We are actually getting
It's a
better.
boost.
I don't think we will though. I mean, I'm more maybe expecting a win against Romania or Iceland than 2 wins against Macedonia. That seems a little more realistic to me, but we can definitely take them.
All right. Well, speaking of people we can take, and I'll take, and I'll take. I keep talking. Watch, we're gonna lose against them. Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein got second place in their UEFA Nations League group, Group D2, behind Gibraltar. Gibraltar promoted to League C now. Liechtenstein had a positive goal difference. They scored 3 goals. They conceded 2 goals, but they only got 5 points, and Gibraltar got a couple wins, and they ended up winning the group. Liechtenstein famously have not qualified, just like us, so we're on the very same level as them there. And people that, again, 6 points that we kind of expect, right?
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, not to disrespect them, but as I said, they're playing even better than even worse. Sorry, than they were before. So yeah, I mean, there is no excuse. We have to beat them both times.
Yeah, there is no excuse. But that's it. That's our group. Want to take maybe a minute to explain the playoffs and how they're going to work. I know a lot of people are going to have this question, seeing as we did win our UEFA Nations League group. So the way the playoffs, go ahead. Woo! Yeah, okay, yes, a celebration. So here's the way the playoffs works. Out of all the World Cup teams, right, we have groups A through J. The first place from each group automatically qualifies for the FIFA World Cup. The top spot, straight in. The second place from each group, so there's 8 groups. The 8, was there 8? No. 10. Sorry, excuse me. There's 10 groups. So the 10 group winner.
10 groups.
So the 10 group winners automatically qualify. The 10 group runners up, so second place, all 10 group, plus the best 2 from the UEFA Nations League group winners, which we are in. So that means group winners from A, B, C, and D, of which Armenia is ranked 11th, I believe, and that was due to whichever league you're in and the number of points you have gained. We're bottom of Group C because we got the least number of points. Now, if any of those teams ahead of us, the 10 teams ahead of us in the Nations League winners, are not in first or second place in their World Cup qualifying groups, the top 2 from there are added to the runners-up. So that makes 12 teams total, right? Those 12 teams get split into 3 separate tournaments. So they have 4 teams, 4 teams, 4 teams. 3 separate 4-team tournaments consisting of semifinals and finals, where the 3 winners of each mini tournament get the last 3 remaining World Cup spots. And that's all 13 for UEFA.
So we have a lot of games, potentially.
Yeah, if Armenia gets second place, we have to play an entire other mini tournament.
Wow. Wow.
And it's unlikely that we'll get the spot from the Nations League win, because I believe one of the groups involves 3. 3 of the Nations League group winners are in a single group together. I believe it's France's group? One of them. So that's going to take 1 spot already, because only 2 of them could get the top 2 spots. So one of those 3 teams is going to take one of the spots. And then I think Poland, I believe, is in a group with two other very Hungary is in the same group with Poland and someone else, and they're also very likely to get it as well. So statistically speaking, bottom line, Armenia won't get through from the UEFA Nations League win. Forget it. It's not going to happen because of the way the groups were drawn. It's not in our favor at all. So realistically, the only way Armenia is going to get to the playoffs is second place. Whew, that was a mouthful. Are you guys still confused? I'm sure the listeners are still confused. I was confused explaining it.
One thing I know for sure is that it's gonna be tough.
Yeah.
As always.
Yeah.
Simple. That's the simple and realist fact that we know until now. There's nothing else we're not sure of. That's the only thing that we're sure of.
Yeah. So, do you guys want to give predictions?
Oh boy.
No, I don't.
No.
Don't.
I think we're famously we don't give predictions podcast, which I'm sure people hate, but like I'm sure people want us to tell them like, what do you think? How many goals do you think we'll score?
I have a question though. Has this worked so far?
Has what worked so far?
Not making predictions.
I'd say yes. I'm very bad. I'm very bad at predictions.
Can you blame us?
No, because you know what? Me personally, speaking for myself, I put emotion ahead of everything all the time. So like whenever I'm making these predictions, so my judgment always gets clouded, and I tend to have a lot of self-doubt when it comes to these predictions. So I never want to go and say, yeah, Armenia 3-1. You know, like fuck, who knows when we're gonna score 3 goals? So we don't know. You know, we'll score 4 goals against Bosnia and then fail to put something away against Gibraltar. So you know, I never make predictions anymore.
Exactly, especially not regarding Armenia.
Yeah, no. That's the one place we won't make predictions. Sorry, so if you guys are looking for predictions, if you're listening
let the players pick on the pitch.
Exactly, yeah. It's they get to choose, not us. Okay, so that wraps up our look into the FIFA World Cup Qualifiers draw, Group J. Again, Armenia is in a group with Germany, Romania, Iceland, Macedonia, and Liechtenstein. Matches begin on March 25th away to Liechtenstein and end in November 14th home to Germany. There is the UEFA Euro 2020 or 2021 in the middle of these qualifiers. So 2 of our teams in our group are going to be there. Actually, more of them, right? Did Romania and Iceland qualify? They might even be there. One of them. There you go.
Iceland. It was Germany, Iceland, and Macedonia going to be playing.
There you go. So those 3 teams are going to be in there. They're probably going to be tired. We're going to win the World Cup. It's all going to be great, right?
And actually, Iceland beat Romania to make it through.
There you go. Even better.
So that game is going to be watched by Caparrós over and over again. I can tell you that much.
I'm sure, and I'm sure he's going to pay very close attention to the Euros. So let's move over to some fun facts that we have for the listeners. This is one that I thought of right before the show, and I had to write it down. So the market value of every team in this group combined in our World Cup qualifying group is approximately $200 million. That's not taking into account Germany. So this is every team in our group bar Germany combined is worth 200 million market value.
Good.
Germany alone is worth 800 million.
Dun, dun, dun.
That means every team in this group combined times 4 equates to Germany's market value. That's insane.
That's how good they are.
That's how good they are, yeah. So if anyone was wondering, that's how good they are. But anyway, Artak Grigoryan could take them. Romania and Iceland will also be in the UEFA Nations League Group B with Armenia next time.
So this is interesting.
Yeah. Iceland famously 0 points, got relegated. Romania got second place in the group and they stayed. Armenia, of course, very famously, everyone in the world is still talking about it. Got promoted from the Division C to B. So that's another one. Anyone else got some fun facts?
Well, yeah. I mean, not regarding this national teams. I guess the most interesting fact was the Romania and Iceland playing each other this year.
Mm.
But well, then there's our young fellas, the ones with Russian citizenry. I mean, we already know about Naya Tiknisian playing at CSKA and getting some real game time.
Mm.
But then there are two guys we want to focus on, two stories, two very different stories, by the way. Well, there's first. Let's start with the bad news first, shall we, boys?
Go ahead.
Let's start. I got some good and bad news, and I believe I always like to finish with the good news.
All right. Well, bad news. Let's start with the bad news.
Oh boy.
Yeah. Well, the bad news is there has been this kid, many of us know by now, Edward Sperzian. He is a 20-year-old playmaker slash attacking midfielder playing for Krasnodar, which is one of the good sides in the Russian Premier League. And he also played for Russian youth teams, but he has repeatedly stated that he wants to play for Armenia. And he made his UEFA Champions League debut last month too, while we were in the war, and that was very big news for all of us, right? And after everything, the war and group stage, everything, after everything was done, there was this press conference by Football Federation of Armenia chairman Armen Melikpekyan, and he was asked about the Armenian diaspora and talents, the young talents, and he focused on Edward Spertian and his interest to play for Armenia. Apparently, Spertian was supposed to fly to Yerevan next year to make his debut for Armenia, get the citizenry and play for us. And now, while we hear this, he seems to be frozen off by Krasnodar coach.
Mm-hmm.
Is that a coincidence? I don't know. I don't think so, but I guess we will find out.
At the time of this recording right now, Krasnodar is playing their sixth match of the group stage in the UEFA Champions League against Chelsea. They're currently tied 1-1. It's a 75th minute. And I was just looking as you were speaking through the lineups, and I checked the Krasnodar bench, and Spertian, again, not there.
Missing.
And interesting also because he just scored a hat trick for the Krasnodar 2 this past weekend. So
yeah, he's great. I mean,
yeah.
Exactly.
He's being frozen out. It's definitely a case of him picking Armenia over Russia and being frozen out. That's what it is.
I mean, it happened. It happened before. It happened to Simonian, Artem Simonian at Zenit. He's now playing at Noah in the Armenian Premier League. Happened to Armen Patsumian at CSKA. He's now playing for Arat Armenia. It has happened to Miranyan in Shakhtar in Ukraine this time. It has happened countless times, and we are seeing it happen again. So there has to be, I mean, we are still on time to make something about this. Well, that's it for bad news. Then there's the good news. Yay! Mark this name down. I mean, write it down. Edgar Sevikyan. We found out about him a couple years ago when he moved to Spain from Lokomotiv Moscow. And he now plays for Levante, which is the second side in Valencia City in Spain. It would be like Valencia's derby. It's a pretty good team if you don't know them, and if you do, you already know how good they are. I mean, this kid playing in this club, that's the real deal. I mean, that's world class right there. 19-year-old winger. Okay, youngest playing in the squad. He was already training with the senior squad for maybe half a season now, and he's finally made his debut. They didn't even want to loan him out. That's how good this kid is. He has played for the Russian youth teams and has been asked about national team, like choosing allegiances in the senior level. he said so far he wouldn't make a choice, which makes total sense, makes perfect sense to me. He wants to focus on his career for a couple seasons, and hopefully we can snatch them off the Russians.
He's an incredibly talented winger, is playing Russian youth currently, but in that interview, I believe it was, I think Corner Football somehow got a quote out of him, and he said he has not decided between Russia and Armenia yet. And I think that is a very good sign for us, because most of the time these players
our campaign.
Exactly, he followed our campaign. He sees the new manager. He sees the success, and as I had previously mentioned before, winning the UEFA Nations League group was a lot more than just getting promoted to League B. It
definitely, and he's also been posting awareness about the war and the recent events in Armenia, so that means he's engaged. And that's great news coming from a diaspora kid. He's a kid.
Yeah. So we're looking at these fixtures and we're looking at this World Cup qualifiers campaign, and we're thinking positive results in this campaign can help convince people like Tiknezyan, like Sevikyan, like Spertyan to play for Armenia. And again, these three players that we had just mentioned, if these three players pick Armenia, wow, are we going to be set for a very long time.
Yeah, these kids are only the tip of the iceberg.
Exactly. And we're going to have a whole show. We're going to have a whole show dedicated to these Armenian future stars, as we're calling them. And we'll save that for another day. And it'll be coming out soon, I think. That's something that we'll definitely bring out soon, as the winter break is going to be coming up in a lot of countries. So keep your eyes and ears out for that one. But I think that concludes episode 4 of Football Kentron. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening if you've gotten this far. And hopefully Armenia does something great in Group J. We're looking forward to it. Of course, we will preview every match that we can. We will do match wrap-ups. And hopefully 2021
will be even better.
Footballing-wise. And I honestly, in every way possible, I hope it's better than 2020.
Yeah.
Follow us on Twitter as well, guys.
Yeah, hit us on Twitter. Follow all of us. Follow Football Kentron at Football Kentron on Twitter. Go ahead, drop Armin a follow if you haven't. Drop Chadens a follow, and drop me a follow if you haven't. All of our Twitter handles will be in the description below of this episode. And we will see you guys again next week, where we have something very, very special lined up. Right, guys?
There's so much to look forward to.
Yeah, but next week specifically, we got something really, really good. So
don't spoil it, Adam.
I'm not going to spoil it. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for listening. I have been Adam.
Get it.
Thank you, Armin. Thank you, Chadens. This has been Football Kentron. Don't forget to share. Hopefully we qualify for the World Cup. Shout out to Theo. I know he's been really busy. We're looking forward to having him back soon. And bye.
Bye.